All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the lead pastor and executive director here. It's so energized in here. It must be Easter or something. I'm Ryan. I'm the lead pastor and executive director here. This is Carrie. She's the associate executive director here. So good to be with you all tonight. Happy Easter to all of you here in person. To those of you joining us online, happy Easter. We're glad you're with us tonight. A few things you might want to know. Well, first, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction while creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. There is always one thing we don't do in this community. You can shout it out on the count of 3. If you're at home in your living room or your kitchen, wherever you are with your group of people, shout it out on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
We don't do shame.
We don't do shame. Carrie, tell us what's coming up.
Well, some of the most exciting stuff is happening right after service. So if you have any littles with us this evening, we are going to have this, I don't even really want to call it an Easter egg hunt. It's more of just controlled chaos. Where it's just going to be, I don't know if y'all were here last year where they all just basically chased the adults in the room for the eggs. That's kind of what this is going to be. And then directly following that, we have breaking the cycle of family addiction. Nancy is going to be conducting her slightly separate in the front of the building. They're going to do some field day activities. You are required to have an adult with the children for that one. So if you do have your littles with you, make sure you grab them, that you accompany them for that. But it's basically going to be all sorts of chaos and fun and lots of candy.
I got wrapped into it.
I heard that if one thing that addicts do when we buy Easter eggs is more is always better. So there might be a lot of Easter eggs out there. And then if you're new and you've never been here before, welcome. We would love to get to know you guys just after service. If you can stand the chaos, meet us just outside of these doors and we will get you connected with a welcome bag. Inside the welcome bag that got added, you'll also find ways to sign up for our newsletter and then any other events that we have going on. So get that card. There's also one plastered if you've been here before but you don't know what I'm talking about and you want to know what I'm talking about. Just on the wall outside by the Kind kiosk, you'll see one posted out there too.
Can I say something really quickly? For those of you that have chairs in between you, if you could this is like the scoochy together announcement. We've got people standing, so if there's a chair in between you, just scoot together towards the center and create some space for those still coming in.
Or you can raise your hand if there's empty seats, because there are some empty seats up here.
Got it empty.
Yep, empty seats over here. Now I got thrown off. What was I saying? I did the welcome back. Baptisms. We are going to be doing baptisms here on May 2nd. We are only going to be having one service, and that is the 5 p.m. service. We're going to bring the wagon in here, and we are going to fill it up with the water. We're going to do baptisms that evening. If you are interested, reach out to Ryan at freerecoverycommunity.com, or you can just talk to him after service to get on that list. If you are interested, it is required that you guys attend the What is Baptism night on Thursday, April 23rd from 5:30 to 6:30. But again, get on our newsletter. All of this is in that too, or come and talk to Ryan or I.
Yeah,
that's all I got for you.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. All right, y'all, before we get started, we start with celebrations, but before we do that, I want to show y'all a little video. Where's Jessica Gallego? There she is. She has so much to do with that. Here's her letter to her addiction.
My name is Jessica. My sobriety date is October 10th, 2025, and this is a letter to my addiction. Dear addiction, you stole from me, and I need you to know everything you took. You stole my happiness, you stole my joy, you stole my marriage, you stole years with my sons that I will never get back. You stole my ability to be present, to be a mother, and to be you ever took from me before I even had a choice was my mom. She was a heroin addict, and I grew up watching what it did to her. When I was 16 years old, I found my mom overdosed, and that was the moment I understood just how far you would go. That is what you do. You don't just take people, you take them, and you leave everyone who loved them searching for answers that may never come. And I watched all of that. I lived all of that. I still let you in because I didn't know any other way. I drank to stop feeling lonely. I drank to quiet the pain that never went away. And then I lost my brother. He took his own life. And the grief of that was something I didn't know how to carry. So I kept hiding. And you were always right there, ready to help me disappear. You were there when my marriage fell apart. My husband and I both had been drinking for years. And at some point, it stopped bringing us together and it started tearing us apart. And when it ended, my son stopped talking to me, and even that didn't make me stop. I remember sitting in the parking lot at his football practice, drinking with the other parents, while my son was out on that field, giving everything he had. He made touchdowns I never saw. He looked up and I wasn't there. I was doing to my boys exactly what had been done to me. And I couldn't even see it. Then there was one night I told myself it was just another night. I was out drinking, and someone I thought I could trust handed me something I thought was cocaine. It was fentanyl. I overdosed and I died. And to my complete surprise, I woke up. I was in the back of an ambulance. And through all the noise and the pain, I heard them on the phone with my stepmom, telling her it took 9 doses of Narcan to bring me back. 9. Every part of me was in so much pain, but the physical pain wasn't even the hardest part. The hardest part was when everything got quiet and I started thinking about my boys. I knew what it felt like to lose a mom. I spent 20 years carrying the emptiness. And lying there in that ambulance, I realized I had almost made my sons carry the same weight for the rest of their lives. And it broke something open in me that nothing else ever could have. To my boys, I am so deeply sorry. I am sorry for every moment I wasn't present, for everything you watched, for everything you felt, for all the things you needed from me that I was too lost to give you. I own every bit of it. The words to say. My sobriety date is October 10th, 2025, and I did not get here alone. God was with me through it all, even when I couldn't feel Him, even at my absolute worst, even when I was gone. He brought me back, and I don't think that was an accident. And my dad, he fought this too. He's on the other side of it now, sober. And if you're a mom who is watching this, or you're a mom who is drowning in shame right now, I see you. I know you replay every moment, because I do. Everything you missed, every way you think you failed them, I know that shame sits on your chest in the middle of the night, and it feels like it will never move. But that shame is not who you are. That is the addiction. And I want you to know there is a place where we don't do shame. You're not too far gone. You're not too broken. You belong here. I died, and somehow I got to come back. And so can you. I am now on the other side, where death does not get the final word.
Woo-woo! Thank you, Jessica, for your bravery to write and read that letter for this community. And it's going to impact a ton of other people because it will get on we'll throw it on our social media. And thank you for your bravery in doing that. So grateful. Shall we continue in some celebrations? It's how we start in this community. We start with the good. We lift up the good. Maybe you're here and you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or a birthday or new jobs, new homes, new kids, whatever the new thing in your life or recovery is, we celebrate it all. If you're joining us online, drop your celebrations in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, and we'll join with you there. For those of you in-house, just raise up your hand. Ben has a mic on this side. Who has the mic? Darren does. Sorry, Ben. I guess you're not needed right now. Darren will have a mic on this side. Matt will have a mic on this side. Raise up your hand. We take 3 minutes for this. This time is yours.
Hi, my name is Melissa, and we're celebrating that our son is 1 year sober today.
1 year sober today. That's a big deal.
Our son Juan.
Let me say real quick, you might remember 11 months sober, he was here on the stage helping to close us in prayer. Yeah, beautiful thing. Go ahead.
My name is Chris. Tomorrow I have 6 months.
6 months. Way to go, Chris.
I'm Alex, and I'm celebrating as of yesterday 60 days sober.
60 days sober. Way to go, Alex.
I'm Jason, and I hope you all agree with me. I think we have the coolest and best pastor in town, and a happy birthday to Ryan yesterday.
Thank you, Jason.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I have 800 days sober today, and I start my new job as a BHT on Monday.
All right, Jennifer.
Or my 8th trip to rehab. I finally want to be sober.
All right, Patrick. Way to go, dude.
Owen, I have 90 days today.
Owen. That a boy?
Hey, this is Carrie, and for our Paonia friends, our friends up last week, it was my fault. I did not celebrate last week, but Virginia in Paonia had 6 months sober last Saturday.
Way to go, Virginia in Paonia. Happy y'all are joining us tonight. Matthew right over here on the couch.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm celebrating a couple things. 1, 8 weeks today. 2, that I've been streaming you guys for, I think, 7 weeks, and I finally made it here.
Yeah.
And 3, my girlfriend's finally talking to me again.
All right, man. We'll celebrate it all. Welcome, buddy. Glad you're here. Was that all of them? Tammy, you going to join me up here? Matthew, can I have that mic? Thank you for, thank you, Darren and Matt.
I thought Matt was going to join you for a second.
I thought Matt might join me for a minute.
Just a lot of little miracles walking around.
A lot of little miracles. Look at all these miracles up in this.
Lots of sobriety.
Shall we join
your birthday, lots of things to celebrate.
Yeah, that's kind of a miracle, too.
That is?
I don't know. Let's see what our online people have to say.
Hi, Mark. My celebration is simply being here with you all tonight. Going live is such a blessing for all of us. Here's to you, and happy birthday, Rev Ryan.
Oh, thank you, Mark. We're glad you're here, buddy. Nicole says, happy Easter, 92 days sober and getting baptized tomorrow at church. Way to go, Nicole. We'll celebrate that with you.
Hi, Jamie. I am in a wheelchair, but I'm going home sober.
Hey, y'all, so tonight, yes, it is Easter. That actually means something. So let's talk about Otherside, where death doesn't get the final word. Woo. So what if the worst thing that's happened to you isn't the end of your story? Like, what if God says, hold up, there's an other side. It's a place where death doesn't get the final word. And I think this is actually the question that Easter asks us every single year. And many of you here, you recognize this. Many of you here have been through already the worst possible thing, and you thought your story was over. In fact, you probably had many times where you thought your story was over and you couldn't begin to imagine anything new or good coming from this. But yet you're here. You're breathing. You have breath, and somehow you made it to the other side, the place where death and darkness does not get the final word. And y'all, I think it's always important for us to remember who we are collectively together in this room. So it's sometimes important to do this exercise together. So I want to invite you to do something with me. If you're able, of course, if you're willing, would you be willing to stand where you are if you have battled this disease of addiction and now you are on the other side, you are in recovery, whether you have one day clean and sober or maybe thousands of days clean and sober, would you just be willing to stand where you are? Yeah. For those of you towards the front, look around. Yeah, you can be seated. Thank you all. But I do want to ask another question. For those of you who have ever loved someone who is battling currently or has battled addiction and you didn't give up, you never gave up on them, but more importantly, you didn't give up on you and your sanity and your health, would you just be willing to stand where you are? Yeah. Yeah, again, look around for a moment. Yeah, you can be seated. Isn't it something to see all these miracles, as Tammy said, all these miracles gathered in this room, and you are a miracle. And it was just earlier this week, I was overhearing a conversation of someone who attends and participates in this community, and someone was asking them, hey, do you go to church somewhere? You know what he said to him? He said, yes, I go to church on Sunday mornings to hear about miracles, but I come to free on Saturday nights to see the miracles. Yeah. Can I tell you, I'll never forget the day I met Jessica, the one you just saw in the letter to your addiction. I'll never forget it. It was about 6 months ago. It was on a Saturday night here just before the 5 o'clock service. And in fact, I was walking with my coffee cup to get hot water for my tea because y'all do know I can't do caffeine at night. I'm getting older, so I have to do hot tea. So I'm walking towards the back to get my hot water. And I see this young lady standing looking at our F Fentanyl t-shirts and hoodies. And she stops me and she says, hey, you don't have my size here. Do you have any more in the back? And I said, let me go check. And so I go to the back and I check for her size, and we didn't have it. And so I came back out after I got my hot water, and I said to her, what's your name? She says, Jessica. And I said, I'm so sorry, we don't have your size. We'll be getting more in, but can you tell me, why is this t-shirt so important to you? She says to me, well, you don't understand. I died last week, which is always a very interesting phrase to hear from someone who's standing right in front of you. And I said, what do you mean you died last week? And she says, well, I relapsed recently, and I found myself at this bar, and y'all heard it in the video. I thought what this person was giving me was cocaine, but instead it was fentanyl, and I died that night. And the paramedics, they told me that I had to be Narcan, you heard it, 9 times to be brought back to life. And she tells me, she says, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. And yet, she's here, breathing, smiling, getting the opportunity to be a mom again, living life on the other side. See, Easter does ask us another really important question, and that is for all of you that stood, what are you going to do with this new resurrected life? What are you going to do on the other side? And I should remind you all that this story of Jesus' resurrection, the story of Easter, the story of Jesus being on the other side of that tomb, it's a story told in all four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all in the New Testament. The story is told in different ways. It's told with different beginnings and endings, and the details are different, and they had different agendas. And if you're a bit fuzzy on how we got to this point, let me remind you, I'll just recap it very briefly. On this week, 2,000 years ago, roughly, on last Sunday, you might remember 2,000 years ago, Jesus came riding into Jerusalem, which was the center of the Roman Empire. He comes riding into Jerusalem, not on a war horse, but comes riding in on a donkey. And when he comes riding in, all the crowds, massive crowds of people are cheering for him. They're rooting for him. They take out these palm branches and they're waving them and they're saying, Hosanna, Hosanna. They thought he was coming to save them from the Roman Empire. They expected him to cause a revolt. They thought he was coming to start a war and he was going to overturn the Roman Empire, and they did not understand. He stood in front of the temple and he said, tear this thing down in 3 days and I will rebuild it. And the people say, how are you going to do that? That's impossible. Of course, he wasn't talking about that temple. He was talking about this temple. And then on Thursday of that week, Jesus gathers with his closest friends. And he shares a meal with them, and he talks about love. And he says, your job is to love one another as I have loved you, as God loves us. That's your number one job. He serves them. He even washes their feet. He washes the feet of Judas, the one who would betray him. And he says, y'all need to understand something. I am going to be killed soon. That's where this whole thing is headed. The Romans are going to put me to death. And do you know what they say to him? They say, no, Jesus, not you. No, man, you got to save us. You're the one who is going to save us from the empire, man. You got to start the war. They did not understand. Then he was arrested and mocked and beaten, betrayed. Then he was placed on a Roman execution stake called a cross, where he was hung, where he took his final breaths in terrible agony. And then what happened? His body, his dead body, was taken down from the cross. It was placed in a tomb Friday, Saturday, and what happens on the third day? On the third day, you get the other side, because Jesus wasn't in the tomb. The tomb was empty. Now, here's how Luke tells the story, and I want you to try to find yourself in this story. We're just going to read a piece of it. Luke chapter 24, it goes like this. Very early in the morning on the first day of the week, the women went to the tomb bringing the fragrant spices they had prepared. And let me pause there for just a moment, because please don't miss this part. It was the women followers of Jesus who I just want you to acknowledge, if they didn't go, if these leaders weren't there, where the Easter story might have gotten lost. And you're asking maybe, well, what's up with these fragrant spices? Well, it was a first century Jewish custom that you would have burial spices to anoint or to pour over a dead body or right before that person died, and it would help cover up the odor. So it was a first century Jewish practice. They get to the tomb, but the text tells us that they see that the tomb is empty, and then they were reminded of what Jesus said. So it continues. When they returned from the tomb, they reported all these things to the 11, the disciples, and all the others. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary, mother of James, and the other women with them, who told these things to the apostles, the men, the male leaders. Their words, so the words from the women, struck the apostles as nonsense. And hold on to that word. And they didn't believe the women, which apparently that's been a problem for at least 2,000 years. But Peter ran to the tomb. When he bent over to look inside, he saw only the linen cloth. Then he returned home, wondering what had happened. And let's just stop there. And let me ask you, do you ever look at your life and you wonder what has happened? You are on the other side. And I would encourage you, don't ever lose that sense of wonder. Don't ever lose that mystery. Do you know, still to this day, my sponsor, he will say to me, Preacher, don't ever forget your last drink. And sometimes when he says it, I think to myself, man, it's been 13 years. I've been sober for 13 years. Why do you keep telling me not to forget my last drink? Well, because he knows maybe some things I don't, or he knows that I need to remember. Do you remember when you were dying and when you were isolated from reality? Do you remember how badly you wanted to stop, but you were so sick you couldn't put down the bottle? You wanted to, but you didn't know how, you couldn't. How many times you were showing up to your own life with burial spices because you thought you knew how it was going to end and it wasn't good? And do you remember then one day in recovery, you discovered through a process that the tomb was empty, and when you looked back, all you could see is the shell of your old life. And think about it, if you're like me, you don't know exactly how it happened. You don't know how it happened. You don't have all the answers for an empty tomb, but you do know God was somehow the source of all of it, and you were left wondering what had happened. And I say that to remind y'all, sometimes the other side is way more about mystery than it is about facts. And facts can't always get us there. And I do know, I'm well aware, I know because I hear it every year, I heard it this year from many of you, that some of you here tonight, you struggle with Easter. Man, you just struggle with it. I'm with you. Now, a pastor shouldn't say that. I'm actually with you. You struggle with Easter. Some of you even struggle to show up tonight. Some of you say to yourself, well, wait a minute, what are we doing here? We're just going to gather together as like a group of people, and we're going to celebrate a guy who was dead, fully dead, and now he's risen, and we're going to like celebrate zombie Jesus, and we're never going to acknowledge the awkwardness in this. We're never going to acknowledge the questions and how the world sees us. We're just not going to talk about that. Some of you, I get it. You say, Ryan, what you need to understand is I'm a thinking person. I'm an intellectual person. I've got a V8 up in here and it's always running. Okay. You do know, by the way, when it comes to these ancient stories, we can interpret them in different ways. In fact, there's good scholars that interpret these in different ways. And I do want you to know, wherever you land in your interpretation, what you think or don't think, we can all belong when it comes to the God stuff. We're all worthy. We're all welcome. You can belong. But I would ask you this really important question. Are you able to give yourself to mystery? Are you able to give yourself to wonder without having all of your questions answered and without knowing exactly how it happened? And by the way, if you need some help with that, look at your own life. Look at your life and let me ask you, did you do it? I mean, are you the source of it all? Or was there a power greater than you that brought you back to life, that raised you up? Do you know when we met with Dre, where's Dre? Oh, Dre's right here in the front row. Dre's our guest storyteller tonight. You're going to hear a very powerful story. When we met with Dre this week in our office, at the end of our time together, Dre, you'll remember this. Carrie asked you, she says, Dre, and hearing all these things with your story, man, where is God in this? Do you know what Dre said? Dre says, do you know how many times I should have died? How many times I should have died? Do you know how many times I should have given up on life? Do you know how many times I should have just stayed in that tomb? It was easier. And yet here he is. And he says, I don't know exactly how it happened. I don't know exactly how to explain God, but I can tell you God is in all of it. And see, sometimes the facts can only take us so far. But they fail to capture the other side. And let me remind you, life on the other side, you probably know this, it will always consist of just a bit of fear. And if you have some fear, if you're new to the other side, well, you're not abnormal. You're not weird. Fear is a very natural thing. In fact, I want you to imagine for those first century people, when they discover this empty tomb, imagine the fear they must have faced. I mean, this is the one that was supposed to save them, overturn the empire, save them from suffering. And now not only did he get crucified, but now the body is missing. I mean, there's all kinds of fear in this. And you read through the whole story, and the story is filled with skepticism. It is filled with questions. It's filled with silence towards God. And Luke's gospel ends with Peter going back home, wondering what had happened. And when the men hear of this message from the women, they say this is a nonsense message. It makes no sense. Which is always interesting because I want to show you something. That word nonsense in the Greek, you do know the New Testament was written in Greek. That word nonsense here is this word leros, and it's the root of our word delirious. And that's interesting, isn't it? Because no one expected Jesus would ever be on the other side of that tomb. And when they heard it, they said, this is a delirious message. You're crazy. You've lost your mind. And yet, why did this story endure? Why did first century people bother writing this story down? Why did those early Jesus followers tell and retell the story? Why is it still retold today? Well, because it meets us right where we are. I mean, think about it. We didn't expect the other side either. We, in that darkness, we didn't expect God to act. When you were dying in your addiction, or you were watching your loved one be nailed to the cross of their addiction, you didn't expect you to make it to the other side. And y'all just be aware, because in the earliest moments of the other side, in the earliest days, it can feel really confusing. It can feel really scary, and you're not even sure you can survive on the other side of that tomb. You're not sure you're cut out for it. And also be aware, when people see you on the other side, some of them are going to think you're crazy. Some of them are going to try to hold you to the old life. They're going to try to hold you to all the markings of your old identity. They're going to try to hold you to the old story because they know your old story so well. Some of them are going to look at you sideways. They're going to ask lots of questions. They're going to wonder what they see. And some of them might even say to you, you are delirious. Man, who do you think you are to be living on the other side? I know the old you. I know the things you've done. I was there for it. And instead of getting defensive, you'll have to just get a bit honest with it. Because if we're honest, the other side is a bit crazy, isn't it? I mean, because you were once dead and now you're alive. And you don't know exactly how it happened, but you do know it was a God greater than you, a power greater than you who was raising you up. And why did this story endure? Well, because it speaks to every human moment of anguish, and it says to you, the last word has not been spoken. There's more to the story. This story says it's not over, and there might actually be life on the other side. Death might actually be the start to something new. So I would ask you, what are you going to do with this resurrected life? What are you going to do with the other side? Very important question, because you do know some of us shouldn't be here today. We shouldn't be here. We've had every reason to give up. We've had every reason to stay in that tomb, and yet you're here. You made it here tonight. That means you're still breathing. You're still sitting in this room full of people, or you're still sitting in your living room and you're gathered with other people, and that means God's not done with you yet. You see, when it comes to the other side, you didn't make it to the other side just to exist. You made it to the other side so that you could actually live life differently. What's that mean? Well, you've probably heard about the guy who made it up to heaven. He made it up to heaven, and when he gets there, St. Peter is there at the gates, and he swings open wide the gates, and he says, "You made it here. I'm so glad you're here." He says to the man, "Welcome, come on in." And the man, he starts to take his very first steps into heaven. But he stops, and he looks back, and he sees all his friends, and he uses Jesus as his reference point. Jesus, the one who was always hanging out with the suffering. Jesus, the one who was always on the margins, not at the center. Jesus, the one who was always going to the poor, to the hurting, proclaiming life to them. Jesus, the one who was always saying to those who felt like they didn't belong with God, because religious leaders told him so? That Jesus, the one who said, yes, you belong, yes, you are loved. The man's getting ready to take his first steps into heaven. And he looks at St. Peter and he says, what about my friends? I mean, there's addicts and alcoholics, and loved ones of addicts and alcoholics, and spiritual refugees, my friends who were told they don't belong, but I know that God loves them. But what about my friends? St. Peter says, I know, but you know the rules. And the man says, thanks, but I think I'll just hang out here with my friends. And St. Peter begins to cry, and he cracks this huge smile, and he says, at last you understand. Do you know Mother Teresa? Mother Teresa said this, if I ever become a saint, I will surely be one of darkness. I will continually be absent from heaven to light the light of those in darkness. Does this make sense to y'all? We got into recovery to get a new life, but we stay to be a light for others. And my prayer for you, my prayer for us here in this community is that we become saints of darkness, because you can go back to the tomb. You say, Ryan, that's really weird. Why would you say that? You can go back into the darkness, but not to in somehow or some way go back to your old life. No, it's because you are looking back and you're seeing how many people are still suffering. And we get to be a light and go light the light for others still in darkness. Yeah, you can make it all about you, or you can go back into the darkness. And I would remind you that I hope you know this. It's way bigger than just addiction recovery. You know that, right? It's way bigger, because the truth is, some of you, you know what it's like to go through cancer. You received a diagnosis. You thought the story was over, but you went through this journey, and now you're on the other side, and you look back and others need something that you have. You have hope to offer. Some of you, you know what it's like to stare at grief square in the face, and you thought you were going to crumble. You thought it was over. You didn't think you'd make it out, and somehow through a process, you're now on the other side, and you have something that they need. Some of you, you know what it's like to lose a relationship you thought you would never lose, and you thought you were going to crumble, but instead you somehow made it to the other side. You have something that others need. And listen, y'all, I get it. We get tired of going back into the darkness, don't we? In fact, I heard it just this week. Someone says, I'm so tired of being the voice of this thing that I've gone through. And I know him well enough. If I were to ask him, well, do you want to stop going? I mean, you just want to go back to silence? He wouldn't do it. I know it's tiring to go back into the darkness. We lose hope. We see some people die. We see some people give up. We see some people stay in the tomb, and yet we run back to the tomb because we know that in this community we are light to go light the light of those still in darkness, those still suffering. It is my greatest prayer for us is that we know why this community exists. We know why we're here. We get to proclaim that same delirious message that was spoken to you. The one that somehow whispered to you, don't give up. I know it feels like you're dying. I know it feels like it's the end of the story. I know it feels like it's over. Don't give up, because there might be an other side. So here's what we'll do. We're going to hear a song together. This song is called Graves into Gardens. And we have all these candles up here. And maybe you just need to give yourself the simple reminder that you are on the other side, which means you are light to go shine in some darkness, to go bring it into darkness. Or maybe you want to light a candle during this song as a prayer for someone who needs some light in their life, and you get to do that. You get to be that person. We get to be those people. So during this song, if you want to come up and light a candle, maybe even offer a prayer, this time is yours. If you want to just stay seated and reflect on the other side, the miracle that you are, what God has done in your life, well, you can do that too. This time is yours.
in the parking lot on Christmas, you would have actually heard him. He actually gave a lot of his story in the cafe that night. But today we get to hear a different side of the story. So could you please help me welcome Dre up to the living room? That I want to talk about. So can we just get right on in it?
Let's dig in.
You told us a story because you said you had battled with addiction for a long time of your life, but there was one story in particular where you actually said that you saw your life go down the drain.
Yes.
Can you tell us that story and kind of paint the picture of how that shaped the rest of your addiction?
Absolutely. Well, some years ago, I was wrapped up in gangs really bad, and gangs was my thing, and drugs was my thing, and I was riding around with a bunch of friends in a vehicle, and we were just looking for some trouble to get into, and we were looking for a rival gang member, and we found him, and he ran into a house that they were having a birthday party at for a young kid, and we were all just hanging out the window, and we were like, we're going to get this guy, and when he ran into the house, it was a birthday party for a young kid. He was turning 7 years old that day. And upon the guy running in the house, his family and friends was like, you got to get out of here. This is a birthday party. So the guy ran out, and we were just hanging out the window, and we all just started shooting our guns at this guy. And immediately I watched the kid hit the ground. And I told my friends, I said, stop, let me out of the car. And I got out of the vehicle. And I just stood there. I was in shock because I seen this mother holding her kid. And he was gasping for air, and I went back and I stopped. And I was just looking. I was scared to death. I just knew my life was over. I mean, like, here we are. We got a kid. We got guys in a gun. And my friends were stopped. They were looking like, what are you doing? And I just could not see this kid on this ground and just get in a car and just drive away. So I went up to the woman, and I looked at her and her son, and she was holding her son, and she was crying, and the poor kid was just still, gasping, and this is this kid's birthday, 7 years old. And I felt really, really at the lowest point in my life. I've never felt that much shame and that much hurt in my life, and I never seen the pain, and I can just only imagine how she was feeling. That was her son, and I'm my mother's only son, so I can imagine what she was going through. I looked down at the woman, and she just looked at me, and all of her family was like looking at me like, we're gonna mess you up, man. And I looked, and she just looked at me, and she said, go. And I said, what? Go? What do you mean go? I just couldn't understand why she was saying go. She was like, leave, go. And I stood up. I was kind of leaning down, and I stood up straight. And I tried to turn around and walk away, but my feet wouldn't allow me to go. I just was stuck there. And she was like, go. And I left. And I turned around and I started walking. I didn't run because I just knew that this was the end of my life, I heard the police cars coming. I heard the sirens coming. I remember very clearly. I was walking, and I just had this gun in my hand. And I was walking, and as I was looking down, crying, just thinking it's over, I seen a gutter, and it was the most beautifulest water I seen ever. It was perfectly clear, and this gutter had all this trash around it, and the only thing I did was close my eyes, and I think of myself as that water, and my life is going down this drain, a perfect life going down the drain for a 30-second decision. And I took the gun, and I threw the gun down the drain. And I watched the water go down the drain, and I kept on walking, and I just knew that the police were going to come, and I seen the police cars coming my way. And I looked at the police cars, and they just drove right past me. That was that was a real shock to me that the cars didn't stop. They just kept on going, and right then and there, I knew that this was far beyond anything that I can even explain.
You also got contacted a little bit later. Can you tell us how that story ended?
I did. It was about a week later, and I don't know how this mother found me, but she was able to find me, and she said, you're going to go to this address on this day, and I said, okay, and I'm thinking that this is a huge setup. I'm thinking that the cops are going to be there, and I'm going to go to jail, At this point, I didn't know if it was actually me who did the shooting, because we were all doing the shooting. I just felt the most guilty. I still don't know to this day, and some things are better left unsaid. I don't know. But anyhow, she contacted me and she told me, she said, you need to be at this address on this day. And I went to that address, and it turned out to be a viewing for the young man and a funeral. And so I got in there and I seen the mother, and she said, sit down. And I sat down, and all these people were saying all of these words of greatness about this young boy, and I'm sitting in this chair like, oh my God, this is the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. But I couldn't leave. I didn't want to leave. I knew it wouldn't be right to leave. This woman had me there for a reason. I was still worried about the police coming. I didn't know what my life was going to do after this. And I happened to lean over and I asked her, I said, why did you tell me to go? Why would you tell me to just leave like that? And she said, I didn't tell you to leave. God told me to leave, tell you to leave. And I was just like, what do you mean? She said, God told me to tell you to leave. He told me to tell you that if you would have stayed, I would have had 2 dead sons instead of 1. And that was an eye-opener in itself for me, and it just blew me back.
And I wish we could have said that your addiction and life of crime stopped then and there at that moment, but it did not, and it kind of did go on for some time.
10-year penitentiary sentence. I was on probation, and I had caught some more charges, and the judge had just sentenced me to 10 years in divert court and 10 years with a suspended prison sentence. And I found treatment, and I was hoping that would get me out of trouble, which it did for a little bit. And I found treatment. I went to a program that was called Pier 1. I don't know, some of you may have heard of it, and some of you may have not. But I went to that program, and about a month into the program, they woke me up and told me that we were no longer going to do this program. And I was just like, oh, this is crazy. Like, just when I'm trying to get used to a program, you know, they wake you up and tell you need to find another level of care. And at that time, they told me if I didn't find one, they would find one for me. And I'm from the streets, so I knew what kind of level of care they were going to find me. It was going to be one I didn't like. So I went out searching, and I found Elevate Recovery Homes.
And this is the story that I think a lot of you guys are from here or know them. I know they've been here in so many different events. But this is the part that I want to focus on, because to go back to the water, you told a beautiful story of when your recovery journey stopped being about trying to escape this, possible prison sentence, and where you literally jumped in to recovery. Can you tell us what that felt like and kind of what that meant to you?
Absolutely. As soon as I got to Elevate, it was just a, not to pull the race card, but it was a bunch of white guys, and I just was like, dude, this is not gonna work. Like, they were listening to Maroon 5, and they had these beards, and they had all these tattoos, and I was just like blown back. I couldn't understand, like, well, how is this gonna work? Like, I'm straight from the streets, bro, and I'm just trying to get out of this prison sentence. I'm not trying to kumbaya or none of this. And so
and they wanted to take you camping, right?
They were camping, and I was just like, I've never been camping. I'm a black dude with all these white guys. We're going to the woods. That's, what I mean? Like, what's going to happen here? And I just was really not engaging in it. And when I got there, and we got there, and they were just like, we're going to go to this cliff, and this is what we do for fun. We jump off a cliff. So I was like, oh, man, bro, like, listen, this is not going to happen for me. I'm not going to jump off a 50-foot cliff into a lagoon. I'm not going to do that. And they were like, man, you got to do it, bro. Just do it. And all these guys were just jump, jump, jump. And I swear, I got up there, and I was shaking like Elvis. My leg was just, oh, my God. And I just didn't know what to do. And so I finally got up there, and, something came over me, and it just said, trust the process. Trust the process. And in that time, I jumped. And I just remember hitting the water, and the water was so cold, and I was so scared because all I seen was darkness. But when I came up out of that water, I seen all my Elevate guys. I seen my boss. I seen my brothers. I seen Bryce. I seen all the guys that entered me into this program and welcomed me with open arms. And all of them there were like, come on, Dre, we got you. And I just was like, this is great. This is absolutely marvelous. And I just was taken back by it, and I remember me jumping. Something happened when I hit that water, and I'm convinced that I left all the trauma, the drug use, the gang banging, the stereotypes, everything. I left it on that cliff, and I just, now I'm a big Maroon fan 5. I love Maroon 5. I do.
We should have played Maroon 5 today.
And so we went camping, and I learned how to go camping. I didn't know anything about camping. We got out there to Yellowstone Park, and God bless me, I put my tent up, and it was just leaning to the side, and so they called it Section 8 tent. And I was just so happy because it was my first time ever putting up a tent, but they called it the Section 8 tent, and after a couple of times going camping with Elevate and getting in there and that became my family. It's a strong thing to have a strong community, and they became my brothers. I didn't even think about the gangs or the other lifestyle anymore. I kind of just burnt out. I just left, and I didn't look back, and I just looked to Elevate to help me get through my hardest times, and they did. And now, by God, I'm a campologist, I tell you.
Well, and now you actually turn around and you are helping the next people.
I am.
I would love for you to tell the story about this amazing card right here. And tell me, what does this card say? And tell me what your mom said about this card.
Oh, I read that card at least twice a day. So let me tell you about the cards, guys. All right, so I got some business card. I became a community outreach specialist for Elevate. They hired me on as I finished treatment, and they believed in me. They saw something in me I didn't see in myself. I had no idea that I had the ability to reach other people and be successful at what I'm doing. It turned out to be a great thing. I took my mom to dinner, and she lives in an all-Jewish community, and so we get there, and I'm just seeing all these Jewish people and my mom, and we're all sitting in her cafeteria, and we're eating, and I said, Mom, look. I gave her one, and she said, what is this? You got, what is this? And I said, Mom, it's my business card. She was like, oh, you got, and the look on her face after seeing her face, me showing her a business card that I didn't make on my own, that someone actually made for me from my company that I work for, it kind of blew her back, and she was just really impressed, and she took that business card. You got more of these? I said, absolutely, Mom. So I gave her a stack, and she went around to everybody. This is my son. This is my son. This is my son. This is my son's card. This is my son's card. And the look on her face was priceless, and I've never, ever gotten that high off of any drug or anything I've ever done in my life other than to see that look on her face. That was the ultimate buzz. And, yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, that was the ultimate buzz, for sure. And so if you ever see me wherever you're at, I want to thank Andrew because that's my guy in business development. So I walk around with a stack of these all the time, just so I'm so happy that I have business cards. It blows me back.
And you are going to stick around, so I do hope that you guys come up to him and meet him and ask for a business card, because these things are pretty precious.
Absolutely.
But I do want to end to someone who is still out there who may not believe that they can make it to the other side. Perhaps they're watching online, they can't even step through the door. What little piece of hope can you leave with them tonight so they can hang on a little bit further and trust the process?
I can truly, honestly say that you have to understand that there is something bigger and greater than you in this world. It's sometimes, like Ryan was saying, it's not facts. You can't explain it. Some things aren't meant to be explained. Some things don't need to be explained. Some things shouldn't be explained. Just know that there is a power greater than you, and if you can come to the other side and get past all of that thing and be born again. And that's exactly what happened to me after I jumped off that cliff. I believe I was truly born again. And that water it woke me up and it gave me life. And along with a strong community and a great place like Free and all of these things that are happening to me in my life, it gives me a purpose now. And I have something to live forward to. I love spending time with my mom. I love listening to Maroon 5. I love doing all of the good things that come along with life the healthy way. And so that's what I can truly say. You have to trust the process. You have to believe in something bigger than yourself.
Thank you so much. Can you guys give Dre a round of applause?
My man, come on. Dude, I don't get it either, man. White people love to camp.
I know it,
They love it.
Hey, let me give you one of those.
Yeah, I need one of these. Thank you, Dre.
You're welcome, man.
Do you know, Dre told me that story of it had happened recently when met you at the Christmas time, and you handed me a few cards. And this dude was so proud to hand out his business cards. And he's still proud. And you should be, man. Love you, brother. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your story. Dre Bonds. All right, y'all. Well, the way we close things here on a Saturday night is we always close with what we call heartaches. It's kind of like celebrations, but it's the opposite. We celebrate the good, we lift up the good, but then we close with the burdens that maybe you're carrying. The ones you've been trying to carry alone, you find out you suck at carrying these things alone. It's why you have community. It's why we have a God who hears the cries of the people. So we take 3 minutes for this. If you need some prayer, some lifting up, some encouragement, that's what this time is for, because there's something really powerful about speaking those words into a microphone and relieving that burden, and it's what community is all about. So we take 3 minutes. If you're joining us online, drop the burden in the YouTube comments or Facebook comments. We'll join with you there. 3 minutes. Darren's got a mic. Matt's got a mic.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike. Good program friend of mine lives in Washington. He's in the hospital. I don't know what for, but he'll let me know. But keep it in your prayers. Thank you.
All right. Prayers for him.
Hi, my name's Simone. I have not given up. Tomorrow I drive 8 hours to Utah to take my youngest daughter to a residential treatment facility that she does not want to go to. And she'll probably be there for a few months. So prayers, I'm doing this for her, and I'm doing it for my sobriety as well. Thank you.
Prayers for you and for her.
Hi, I'm Kim. I'd just like prayers. I have my 6-month checkup CT scan on Wednesday just to see if I'm still cancer free. So just prayers that it comes back okay. Thanks.
All right. Lifting you up, Kim. Glad you're here.
Hi, if I could get prayers for my friend Grayson, who tried to get better but it was too late, and for his mother Barbara, and for his service in Austin on Saturday that I'm going to. Thank you.
Prayers for the family.
I'm Dre. I just want to give ask for a prayer for my daughter who's currently addicted to fentanyl. It's a very, very difficult battle, and I just want you guys to put her in put her in your prayers, and hopefully she'll get some treatment and get better.
Yeah. Prayers for her, Dre. Thanks for sharing with us.
Hey, I'm Will. My sister's fiance passed away from alcoholism about 4 weeks ago, so praise for her, praise for folks in and outside of these rooms.
Yeah. Lifting up the family, Will.
A prayer for my Aunt Mary Lou and Uncle Todd. May they rest in peace from alcoholism.
Sending prayers.
My name is Chris. I'd like to pray for my mother. She is homeless right now. Has been on the streets doing a lot of drinking. She is alone out there. I've been trying to get her into a sober living or a rehab. I would just like to pray for her if we could.
Yeah. Prayers for your mom, man. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
Just that I get an okay mammogram test back, that it doesn't come back with cancer.
Prayers for you.
Prayers for my best friend whose husband is going through addiction right now, and it's not good right now.
Yep. Lifting them up, Jen.
And praying for guidance as I prepare to leave my current career field.
Prayers for my friend whose marriage is in dire straits.
Yep. Lifting them up. And I know we got a couple others. Let's do 2 more.
Prayers for my good friend and her daughter, that they're getting the love and support that they need at this time.
Yeah.
As well as my little brother with his health, and my daughter having the strength to rock the Casbah.
All right. Lifting them up. Let's do 1 more.
My name is Rodolfo. I am just 6 weeks away from a failed suicide attempt due to a meth-induced psychosis. I am currently at Elevate, and my mama cannot bury her son, so please, prayers for me that I get this right. This
Prayers
time.
for you, and let's celebrate it too, Rodolfo. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with us, man. Prayers for you. Thank you, Darren and Matt. You want to join one more time with our online community?
Of course I do.
Of course you do. All right. You look nice in that dress, by the way.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I like your flowers.
Oh, thank you. You know what I said to her today? I said, hey, I'm thinking about not wearing a hat tonight. You know, it was Easter, a button-up. She said, you know what she says to me? She said, that will be a really bold move. I said, you're right. I shouldn't be that bold on Easter. Just put the hat back on.
Put the hat on.
All right.
Nikki, prayers for my daughter, Carice. She is still suffering. Thank you. First time here.
Welcome, Nikki. Glad you're here. Prayers for her. Mark says, my heartbreak tonight is on this day 1 year ago, my young cousin Ronnie Allery lost his battle and God took him home. I'm praying for Ron Sr., Denise's parents, but also his beautiful sister Desiree. Yeah, Mark, lifting up your whole family on this close to 1 year anniversary. Yeah, 1 year anniversary of the passing. Prayers for you, brother.
Letitia, I need prayers my way. I have an MRI on my brain and spine. Prayers for that.
Lifting you up. Jamie says, for the children whose parents still out there, but for my daughter who's out there now, but most of all, my grandson. Prayers for the family, Jamie. Glad you're joining us tonight.
Chloe Guacamole.
That's a great
I
handle,
like
by the
that.
way.
It's been 1 year since my childhood best friend passed away. I'd like to pray for his mother, Angela, today. She needs all the love and light she can get.
Yeah. Prayers for them. MJ says, prayers for nephew who is in crisis with his gambling addiction. Yeah, lifting up your nephew. Sending prayers, MJ.
Good to see you, MJ. Hey, Tom. Mom passed away last Sunday. We were praying for her last Saturday.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that, Tom. With her family surrounding her, prayers for my dad. 54 years together is a long time. A celebration and a heartache.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
64 years.
Oh, did I say?
64.
That's my
a
eyeballs.
six.
That's why I need to stand on the other side.
We're going to get you some glasses, honey, some contact lenses. All right, thanks for joining me up here. All right, y'all, if you have been impacted by the mission of breaking the silence of addiction, the mission here, well, you should know that we are funded by you, the people. Whenever anyone asks us, hey, how do you do this? How do you keep this thing going? Well, we're funded by you, the people. Your giving here truly makes a big difference. We're grateful that you participate in it. For those of you that have and do, so grateful. If you want to donate tonight, there's a few different ways you can do it. You can download the app. It's free to download, Free Recovery Community. All of our content's on there, messages, guest storytellers. And there's a giving button. You can give one time, or you can set it up to give weekly or monthly, however you want to do it. We're grateful for all of it. Or you can go straight to the website, freerecoverycommunity.com, and give there. Or we have, for those of you in-house, there's giving boxes just outside both sets of doors to give that way. And to those of you online that have never been here, but you call this family, your tribe, your people, and you give here, thank you for that. It makes a big difference. One other option, the Kind Kiosk. It is the one tippy-tap system. It's just outside these doors. Matt's going to show you how to use it on the way out. You just take your credit card and tap it, and sorry to put you on the spot like that. He may not do that. Maybe he will, I don't know. But it's just outside these doors on the right, one tap system, and it's all yours. It's a fun way to give. Thank you for being a part of it. Shall we go out with a prayer? Yes, let's go out with a prayer. I would encourage you, invite you to open up the hands. You don't have to. But it's just a simple sign of openness. There's no magic in it. Yeah, tonight maybe you are open to seeing your life as the miracle it is. The miracle that others sitting around you, seeing the miracle that God did something profound and big in your life. And what are you going to do with it? Yeah. If you don't know the Lord's Prayer, it's on your screen. We'll pray it together. It goes like this. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Grace and peace. Happy